Hi, everyone. Dr. Vicky here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in beautiful southeastern Massachusetts. I've come on today to talk about a couple of things. Mainly, I want to talk about the conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus that's occurring on the 20th, which is this Friday, which is tomorrow. 2 days, 2 days from now, Saturday, actually, sorry, Saturday, 2 days from now. And also Friday, we have the sun moving into um, Taurus. We also have some sextiles of Mars to both Jupiter and Uranus. And then, of course, the next day they conjoin. And so I'd like to bring some attention to this particular time. April promises to be a potentially, uh, when we look back at this time, I think April will be a real touchstone of change and transformation. And of course, we had the eclipse here. Well, everywhere. There was a total solar eclipse, conjunct Chiron in Aries. And that we could talk an hour about that. We could talk an hour about everything that's happening. But because we don't have 5 hours to talk about it, I will do my best to do it in a reasonable amount of time. So before we get into the charts and the rest, I do want to welcome all my new subscribers to my channel. Welcome, welcome. This is a wonderful group of people here on this channel, a wonderful community. And our communities tend to interconnect with other readers' communities. So a lot of you may have found me through Jen Lynn, or you may have found me through Susan Lynn, or perhaps from my many collaborations with Marianne of Revealing Light Tarot over the years. But wherever you came from and however long you've been with me, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. And I think there's some really important things that are coming up. Now, I have been wanting to put something out, but because I've gotten much busier, thank you very much to all those people who have had readings with me. I haven't had the time to really sort of sit down, and I finally had the time to sit down with this stuff and take a look at it. And I've been looking at not just this upcoming Uranus Jupiter conjunction, but looking back at some of the last ones. In fact, the one that occurred before this, one that's happening on Saturday, the 20th of April. Um, Occurred in 2010 and 2011. We actually had three exact conjunctions of Jupiter and Uranus. The first one occurred at the first degree of Aries, which of course is always a potent time because the first degrees of Aries is a world point. It is the start of the zodiac, and in its way, it's the start of a whole new reality. And if we go back to 2010, this is the time when we had the Arab Spring, right? So we can remember that. There were also two other conjunctions of Uranus and Jupiter, and those occurred at the 28th and 29th degree of Pisces. And Pisces being the last sign of the zodiac, and Aries being the first sign of the zodiac, did give some sense that the realizations that would be coming up would be around a change of um, paradigm, a change of shifting paradigms. And in 2026, we do have another one of these cycles beginning. In the case of 2026, we're going to have Saturn make a conjunction to Neptune at the first degree of Aries. And Saturn is about reality, and Neptune is about our imagination. And so, talk about creating your own reality. But before we can do that, before we can get there, right? Um, we have many things between now and then happening, not the least of which is what's happening on Saturday. So I think I want to just jump right into this um, and get started here. All right, I'm going to put this up as a slideshow so that we can see it a little bit better. Okay, here we go. All right, so we're looking at, we're in the third week of April now, and Monday the 15th was the day that, well, first of all, it was tax day for many of us. It was also the Boston Marathon here in Boston. I'm happy to say that it was a beautiful day, and the times were crazy. I mean, these people can run for 26 miles so fast. I said, I don't think I could get from the beginning to the end if I drove in that time. But of course, it is Boston traffic you're dealing with. Anyway, so we had that. And we also had the first criminal case against the former President Donald Trump, our 45th president, I guess. I still have doubts about that, but okay. And anyway, so that began. So right from the get-go this week, we knew that things were changing and shifting. And of course, how could we forget that just the week before, uh, was it the week before? We had the eclipse, right? The eclipse that went across America that was conjunct the Chiron exactly, Chiron in Aries. And we are also on this week on the 20th when we have this conjunction between Jupiter and Uranus. We're also having our first hit of exactly in the United States of our Chiron return, if we go by the Sibley chart, So there's a lot of things sort of coalescing and coming together. And of course, America is in the crosshairs because we're in an election year. We're choosing between two very different candidates. But they do have certain things in common. They have their age in common. And so they also symbolize in a certain way um, the end of an era as well. Okay. All right. So let's get into this. So on Friday, the 19th, the sun ingresses into Taurus. Um, and on that very same day, we have Venus make a conjunction to Mercury. Venus Mercury conjunctions, they can happen once in a year, they can happen 3 times in a year. It does vary. Both Venus and Mercury are planets that are located between the sun and the earth astronomically. And so they have sort of an interesting interaction in relationship to our view on the earth. They can never really be very far apart from each other because neither one of them can be very far apart from the sun. Um, we'll talk about that. And on that day as well, so we have the sun ingressing into Taurus, which is always a thing, right? We're moving from all that Aries energy, all that becoming energy to, okay, now that we have become, now we have to build a foundation. We have to create the root structure for this new beingness, right? This new Aries energy. And we will do that as the sun moves through Taurus. Then we also have the Mercury-Venus conjunction, and then we have 2 sextiles, both to Mars, the first one being Mars to Jupiter, and the second one being Mars to Uranus. Now, it happens at the same degrees. Mars is at 22 degrees of Pisces, Jupiter is at 22 degrees of Taurus, and it's the same degrees because on the next day, the 20th, we have the conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus, starting a whole new cycle, a whole new awakening. If you think back to 2010 and 2011 and to where we are now, there has been quite the awakening. And in some cases, it was a more gentle awakening, although those years were not gentle for me, um, but also a lot of abrupt awakenings. And at that time, 2010, we also had the energy of Pluto moving into Capricorn, and then we had what we call the cardinal T-square. For the astrologers out there, you'll know what I'm talking about. And then from 2012 to 2015, 7 exact squares between Pluto and Uranus. Those were the first time that those two planets were in a challenging aspect to each other, really, that we would really notice it anyway, since their initial conjunction in 1965 and 1966. So there's many cycles sort of coming to a head and coming to a new point in our evolution. And so we continue to wake up in increments, and we wake up and then we seem to fall asleep again, but we don't really fall asleep. We wake up and then we have to once the new energy is out, we have to figure out how we're going to work with it, and we have to figure out how we're going to work it in order to make the changes that are in the promise of that initial conjunction, the promise. Okay. So let's just get into the charts here, and because I do have some charts to share here. All right, the first thing we're going to look at is the sun in Taurus. So the sun in Taurus moves into Taurus on the 19th of April. Is that Earth Day? I'm not sure if that's Earth Day. I should know that, but oftentimes Earth Day is the first, is when the sun moves into the Earth sign of Taurus, which is the most earthy of Earth signs, right? Earth, fixed Earth. The sun ingressing into Taurus, the first degree of Taurus, authentic self-expression, pure innocent spontaneity as a way of life, spontaneous authenticity. Spontaneous authenticity. And so, what I like to do whenever a planet moves into a new sign, I like to look at the ruler of that sign. What is that? What's the ruler of that sign? Sort of like an underlying energy. And so the ruler of Taurus is Venus. So I look to see where Venus is in the sky. And there's Venus up there, not too far from the sun, and conjunct Mercury, which is also happening this day. So not only do we have the sun moving into a new sign, but its ruler powerfully, in a powerful conjunction to Mercury, Venus and Mercury, right? And at 18 degrees of uh, Aries. And the eclipse that just happened occurred at 21, 20 degrees of Aries. So this is all happening on that eclipse degree. And the thing with eclipse degrees is that they stay sensitive. And so usually sometimes it takes a little while before something comes along and hits that degree and reactivates the eclipse. But this is happening right now, right here, right now. Okay. Venus, the ruler of Taurus, at 18 of Aries, respecting natural rhythms. All living things vibrate, struggle, and surrender is life's clear message, turning to natural rhythms. And so we're being asked to pay attention to natural rhythms. And who is in charge of natural rhythms? Well, nature, right? And so there are times when we're growing, there are times when we're planting, when we're growing, when we're harvesting, when we're reaping, when we're sharing, and when we're now looking to see what things have come from this cycle, what do we keep or what do we release, right? It's the cycle of life, as we say. The vibration of the day is the Five of Wands, which incidentally is connected on the Tree of Life to Gebura, which means severity. It is located, it is the Sephiroth on the Tree of Life, and we'll look at the Tree of Life so we can see this connected with Mars. And if we look at Mars, we have Mars at 22 degrees, and it is in a sextile to both of these planets here. So we can see everything is connected. Everything is connected. Let's look at that Mercury-Venus conjunction. We have the Tree of Life here. You can see, and what I've done is I've this is the Sephiroth of Mercury, this is the Sephiroth of Venus, and this is the path that gets activated on their conjunction. Aries, Aries. This path here, called the path of activating intelligence, is the path of Mars. And we have Mars at 22 degrees of Pisces. Okay. Man bringing down the law from Sinai. All right. So we have this conjunction. Okay. This is one of three that we're having this year. We actually have three conjunctions of Mercury and Venus. I do have something that I worked on, and I may actually put that up as a separate video if I can, to talk about that particular relationship. But remember, these two planets are between the sun and the earth, are between the sun and the earth. And on the Tree of Life, this is the sun, the yellow circle here, the yellow Sephiroth, Tiphareth, is the sun. This is the moon, and this is the earth, and this is Venus and Mars. And in a way, from Earth's perspective, we see the moon, and then we have Mercury and Venus, we have the sun, and then we have Mars here, and then we start to move to the social planets, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, transpersonal, Neptune, and Pluto up here. Okay, so this activating path is the path of Mars. Mercury conjunct Venus, respecting natural rhythms. The ruler of Aries, man brings down a law from Sinai. Interestingly enough, that we are having a lot of activity in Sinai now, aren't we, with this whole thing happening in Israel and Gaza. So there's a lot of energy, always a lot of energy in that area as well. And we do have to remember that the Hebrews, that whole sort of system of belief began in the age of Aries, in the age of Aries. So with Chiron in Aries now and the nodes of the moon in Aries, all that stuff is coming up to be what? Healed. Healed. Now we're talking about thousands of years. Can we really heal it like that? Well, we're going to find out, right? We're certainly going in the direction of healing. We're having a giant paradigm shift. And every paradigm shift that we have with these conjunctions, Uranus, Jupiter, perhaps as one of them, is we're sort of up leveling. And so what we thought could be possible, or we thought was impossible, becomes possible. And we've seen that. In the last cycle, we had a Black man as president in the United States, something we thought we might never see, and we saw it, right? But then we also have a criminal as president. We sort of saw that a little bit with Nixon, the most obvious, but there's been plenty of criminals in charge, right? I mean, in fact, a lot of times if you read history, if you read about Napoleon, or you read about Caesar, or you read about all these historical figures, most of them were criminals. All right. So we have to also, take a look at that as well. But that's another video. All right, so we can see that this is also, I want to point out, this is all the charts that you're looking at here are for the US, and my apologies this is a Washington, D.C. chart. My apologies to anybody else who might live anywhere else, but the energies are the same. This is just how it happens in the chart for for a United States chart. And this is happening in the first house. So who are we? The I am, right? The I am. And here we have Neptune here, and we also have Mars and Saturn. Mars and Saturn last week just made a conjunction. That was another important conjunction. Very, very important conjunction. On the tree of life, Saturn sits here and Mars sits here. So we had a conjunction here on this path. This is the path of the chariot, right? This is the seven path. This is know thyself. This is a path connected to Cancer. And of course, the United States is a Cancer country. It has the sun in Cancer, it has Jupiter in Cancer, and it has Venus in Cancer. And of course, we know that women are are definitely Venus in Cancer getting activated, right? These Mars cycles are 2 years long, and so we had the initial conjunction, and 2 years from now we'll have another conjunction, but in about a year we're going to see an opposition to this, and we're going to see what exactly was planted at that time. All right, let's continue. Then I want to look at okay, so I actually did do this. I said there were 3 conjunctions of Mercury and Venus, right? We just looked at the one that's happening on Friday, and I did put the other 2 in here. Here we have, and just take notice when you look at the tree of life, this is the path, right? This is what's happening. Okay, so let's go here. The next one is happening June 17th. 2024. It's also a 31-4 vibration. This is also a 5 of wands, right? Infighting. I want to point out that this is a few days after Donald Trump's 78th birthday, I think. I think he'll be 78 this year. It occurs at 1 degree of Cancer. Cancer, 1 degree of Cancer is a world point. It's also connected to Prince William. Prince William's sun is at 1 degree of Cancer, and his moon, I think, is at 4 of Cancer. He's got a new moon. He's a new moon eclipse baby, solar eclipse. So we can see this here. In fact, at 1 degree, the moon is the ruler of this particular Cancer situation for Scorpio. Mercury conjunct Venus at 1, commitment, the point of no return when we reorient ourselves in the direction that acknowledges the need for accepting imperfection, major reorientation of loyalties and values. Well, that's interesting. And then the moon, ritual, candles, incense, special clothes, special occasions, and defined behavior all create the ingredients of rituals that create sacredness. Communal rituals both settle us and deepen our access to the life force. Because this path is getting activated again, and it is the path of Mars. Where is Mars? Mars is at 7 degrees of Taurus. Breakthrough to a new spiritual level. Okay, let's continue. And the last one occurs August 7th, which is a 20/2 vibration. This is the judgment card. This is the judgment card connected to Pluto. Here we have, again, this path getting activated with Mercury in Virgo and Venus in Virgo. And of course, the ruler of Virgo is Mercury. And so this symbol at 4 degrees of Virgo, black child playing with white children, freedom from prejudice. Radical prejudice is evidence of a fundamental misunderstanding of the nature of reality, freedom from prejudicial mental constructs and beliefs. Here we go. And of course, Mercury is here. Mars, because this is the path of Mars, 13 degrees of Gemini, a great musician at his piano, inspiration. When we aspire to the highest levels, then we learn how to inspire at the highest too. So a desire to aspire to our highest, to our best selves. This year requires our best selves. we need to be in this year, 2024, the 8 vibration. As you sow, so shall you reap. We need to be in integrity. Now we see on the 19th, we have Mars making a sextile to Jupiter, and then we have Mars making a sextile to Uranus. But I want to go back because it's happening at the same degree. So let's look at those degrees. Now remember, this is going to apply to both Mars and Jupiter and Uranus. These are the degrees and these are the symbols. So we have Mars at 22 of Pisces. A man brings down a law from Sinai, code of conduct. Our spiritual understandings need to be expressed finally in terms of behavior and responses to others, following a spiritual code. What is your spiritual code? What spiritual code are you following? In a sextile. Now, these sextiles that we're looking at are waning sextiles. All sextiles are mentally stimulating. We have a Gemini side sextile that happens at the beginning of a cycle, and that is more about gathering information. When we get to this point in the cycles are all 360 degrees. We're at the 300-degree point. This is a point of sharing what we know and what we understand in service to progressivism, to raise all boats. There's an overlay of Aquarius, and Pluto is in Aquarius right now. Okay, so this is visioning the future. What kind of future do you want to vision? Well, one with a code of conduct. How about that? And Jupiter at 22 degrees of Taurus, a white dove over troubled waters, reading signs. Nature will always produce some symbolic expression of a currently important message for those who can read the signs. So we're being asked to have a code of conduct and read the signs that nature is giving us. And nature is saying a lot right now. Okay? We seem to think that we have dominion over nature, but really we're a flea on a dog's on the tail of the dog, and nature is the dog. She can scratch us off anytime she wants. Anytime she wants. Nature does not need us, but we need nature. But we are also come from nature. The earth is our mother. And how do we feel about our mothers? What's our relationship to our mothers? What are we doing to our mothers? Who are most of these war zones? Who are suffering? Mothers and children. How are we treating our mothers? How are we treating our women? How is the divine feminine being treated? If you look at all these countries, like Iran, for example, right? The big bad Iran, their people are suffering. They are not happy. And they are speaking out, and it's costing them their lives. You know, we speak out here for the most part. It doesn't cost us our lives, although it can. But yeah, so women coming together is a big deal. We'll talk about it. Okay. So but I want to point out that this cycle of these two planets, Mars and Jupiter, and any synodic cycle, which goes from conjunction to conjunction, with Mars is a 2-year cycle. So it always takes 2 years to complete the cycle. Mars and Jupiter will be conjoining in May. I think it's May. And I believe it's in Gemini. Or it might be June and it's in Gemini. Anyway, all right, when we get there. Can't keep it all in my head. So this synod began on the 29th of May, 2022, which incidentally is a 40/4 vibration. That's the Page of Cups. Incidentally, the path of life for Donald Trump. 22, Sabian symbol 4 of Aries, two lovers strolling through a secluded walk, positive and negative polarities creating diametism. The unstable, energized polarization of feminine and masculine energies, balancing the inner feminine and masculine polarities. That was the seed of this cycle, to balance masculine and feminine polarities. And now we are here asking for a code of conduct and an ability to read the signs. Okay. The vibration of this day is in Gabura on the Tree of Life, the place of instant karma. All right. And now we're looking at the sextile between Mars and Uranus. And of course, we're looking at the same degrees. So we're still now Mars and Uranus. So first of all, Mars and Jupiter as a synod. Let me talk about that just a little bit. Jupiter is expansion and Mars is action. Action on our beliefs, action on our understandings. Okay. So that's the nature of this. This synod, Mars and Uranus, is revolutionary, evolutionary, right? Breaking out, breaking free, challenging authority. This synod. This synod began at the Mars-Jupiter conjunction of August 1st, 2022. That was a very, I believe, and I believe this is right, but I think that's when we were in the throes of the January 6th commission. I'm pretty sure that was then. It's so hard to keep it all together in my head. I have to really write it down and I don't. So apologies if I'm wrong on that. But it was definitely a significant time. And that day vibrated to the devil, 15-6. And it occurred at 19 degrees of Taurus. What's significant about that particular synodic cycle that began was it was actually conjunct by minutes, the north node of the moon in Taurus. So the north node of the moon, the direction of our destiny, the direction of the unknown, right? Where we're being asked to move in the direction of. And so at that time, the north node was at 19 degrees of Taurus, and we had the synod begin. Mars action and Uranus breakthrough. And the symbol, a newly formed continent. This is about a continent coming out from the sea, almost like the rise of Atlantis, right? Atlantis receded, and now Atlantis comes back up. Pure receptivity. When the mind is open, then spirit can enter. Pure receptivity that sponsors, spiritual something. Understanding, perhaps. I don't know. There's another word. I kind of cut it off. But a whole new world. It was about a whole new world coming into a whole new world coming up out of the waters, out of the sort of unconscious realm to a new consciousness. This is a new consciousness that's rising. And we're at the point of having an understanding about that new consciousness. How are we going to act? What are we going to do? Why are we going to do? Right? Reading the signs from Mother Earth. And so let's take a look at this conjunction that's happening, this expansion of consciousness, right? Think about 2010 and 2011, where we were then and where we are now. How much have we expanded? How much? A lot. So let's take and this is especially interesting. Now, first of all, a couple of things I've said, I just want to repeat. The day is a 32-5. 32-5 is the Six of Wands, the victory card. That is located on the Tree of Life in Tippereth. Tippereth is the sun. The sun, new in Taurus. So we'll keep that in mind. So the vibration of the day vibrates to the sun in Taurus. In the center of the tree, Tippereth, is connected to the heart chakra. It is the place where the lower self and the higher self come together. This is the place of humanity, the fourth ray in esoteric studies, harmony through conflict. First, we have to separate as far as we can, and then we come back together. Harmony through conflict. Okay? As you sow, so shall you reap. Okay? So there's that. The 32-5 is the path of life for the United States. The lesson around freedom. 5. Who's free? What is freedom? What does the land of the free and the home of the brave mean, really? Let's also keep in mind that this is the first hit of the United States Chiron return. We have 3 hits to this Chiron return, 2 in 2024, and the last one in February of 2025. Chiron is about the shadow. We have Chiron in Aries. We just had an eclipse on our Chiron. And now we have a Chiron return. Aries, a pugilist enters the ring. That's the symbol for the Chiron of the United States. Aggressiveness, the socially acceptability of aggressive behavior. Okay, things we have to look at. The original sin of the United States. Slavery and the genocide of the natives. We have in the United States chart, in the Sibley chart, Chiron in the 4th house, the homeland, and the people who were here, and the people who were displaced, and systematically, a systematic genocide. These systematic genocides are not new, they're old. We saw it in America, we saw it in Turkey with the Armenians, we saw it in Germany with what happened to the Jews and the Gypsies and the Christians and the socialists and the intelligentsia. We're seeing it in Gaza. We're seeing it in Africa. We're seeing it in the Sudan. This is an old story. It's time for a new story, guys. It's time for a new story. Now, one other thing about the Chiron return. The United States shadow is a 32-5. Its path is a 32-5. It's Chiron return, first Chiron return. And this is actually the 5th Chiron return for the United States. So we have that 5 vibration. Again, 5 is about freedom. So this is an important time for the United States. This is an important time for who we are. Okay, that all by itself is enough, right? But let's take a look at this on the Tree of Life. This is the chart for the US. We have Sag rising. This is Washington, D.C. when the conjunction occurs. It's occurring in the 6th house. The 6th house is the military, but it's also the hospitals, healthcare, all of that. We need definitely awakening in all those places, right? It's happening at 22 degrees. White dove over troubled waters. Reading the signs, nature will always produce some symbolic expression of the current important message for those who can read the signs, reading in the mysterious symbols in nature. So this is about reading the signs of nature. What is nature trying to tell us? Mind you, Jupiter and Uranus is in Taurus, which is about the earth. Now, of course, we look, Taurus is a Venus rule sign. Oh, Venus is at 20 degrees of Aries, a young girl feeding birds in winter. This was the degree of the eclipse. Seeing life as a constant opportunity to experience love. Life's very harshness is what enables us to learn of love's unfathomable depth. Being innocent and fearless in love. This young girl feeding the birds in winter, sharing her food with creatures that she knows are in need of help. This is the consciousness we are being asked to have in this new cycle. This is the Sephiroth of Uranus. We have Uranus in Taurus. This is the Sephiroth of Jupiter. We have Jupiter in Taurus. Of course, they're going to be in the same sign, right? Because it's a conjunction. They have to be at the same degree. In this case, it happens to be in Taurus. The path that gets activated is the triumphal or eternal intelligence. This is the path of the Hierophant, the path of the small, still voice within, the path of clear audience. What is the voices in your head telling you? This path is connected to Taurus. So we have Taurus, Taurus, Taurus. Now, what's this over here? This is Taurus too. Well, this path is the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune in the tarot, change of fortune, the conciliating intelligence is in Jupiter is in Taurus. So we have Taurus, 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 Taurus. And then here is Venus. This is Venus's place. So Venus is sort of in charge here in a way. Okay. What are we being asked to do? We're being asked to listen to the wisdom of the earth, our relationship to life, our relationship to the planet that we live on. Do we really think that the planet doesn't have something to say right now? Do we feel the rumblings? Do we feel the changes and the shifts and the temperature shifts? Did we accelerate that? Perhaps we did. One way or another, these changes happen. We're not evolving on our own. Everything is evolving with us, including those energies that are higher vibrational and the lower vibrational energies. Everybody is moving up, and that includes the earth. The earth is becoming sacred. Will there be eruptions? Mount Etna is blowing smoke rings. There's a town in Iceland. Is it Iceland or Greenland? I think it's Iceland. That's being swallowed up by a volcano. There was a huge volcano in the ocean. They said it was the largest volcanic eruption, but because it was under the sea, it didn't affect the atmosphere per se, like Krakatoa did. Or I think it was Krakatoa that brought the Dark Ages to Europe. So we are changing and we are shifting, and we have to listen to the earth, and we have to be better stewards. The energy, the understanding of the earth, the indigenous population that understands the earth. How can we get through climate change? Well, we have to listen to what the earth is saying. We might have ideas, but the earth has other ideas. And the more we can become in communion with those ideas. So the realization, the awakening is an awakening that we are in a relationship with the planet that we live on. And we're not necessarily in charge, but we can work with her. And as we balance the imbalances between the masculine and the feminine and the haves and the have-nots, we will be bringing balance to this experience. This is part of our evolution, guys. And it is not something we can ignore. And so you better start talking nice to Mother Nature and follow the signs. And follow the signs. All right. That's what I see. I hope you found this enlightening and helpful. Maybe a little scary, but there's no point in being afraid. No point in being afraid. Be open. Ask for help. Connect. We are the people we've been waiting for. We can't wait for other people to fix the problem. We have to apply our own selves to our own lives and live the best lives that we can in alignment with love, in alignment with aiding each other. Who are we fighting? Who are we fighting? To what end? Death and destruction doesn't seem like a something I want to do. All right. Well, as I said, I hope you find this helpful. If you would like a reading with me, I do have availability. There are links below for that on my website, theseedsoftransformation.com. And what else do I want to say? If you'd like to support my work, I do have a Patreon page. The more support I can get through that, the more stuff I can get out for people. A thumbs up is helpful. A like, a share, keep me in the feed. I'm dancing as fast as I can, guys, and hopefully we can dance together. I love you all. Much love. We're going to do this. We're going to get through this. We're going to do better than get through this. We are going to be who we're meant to be. And I feel very, very grateful that I have this opportunity to share my knowledge with you, my understandings, and together we're going to do it, guys. We're going to do it. Take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful illumination. Namaste.